sun cycle and also omitted the changing from observation over lunar moon cycle. We know Esau time is at the end of the world. Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, which means he will be ruling the earth in the last days with his ways of living, his laws, his ways of keeping time throughout generations to the next. Esau also changed the cycle of evening and morning and made morning to evening the first day, which corresponds to keeping time also, which was done to correspond to his ways to calculating the solar calendar system mathematically by the sun. So as you see on that PDF that you may have, we come up right now to the first website. This is research. Looking into your scriptures, Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Could you just read that 6 and 9 to just verify that Esau is the ending days of the world?
2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man we stood in the hill, and the hand. Other question, Edris, asked thou not.
So we know that Esau gonna be running the world in the last days. We see that happening now. So we need to look at what the things that Esau changed when he came into power. You know, what was the ways, his new ways? What was his new way of keeping time? What was his new laws? But before we get into that, I wanted to show some research that was pointed out by Esau, the new days of Edomites, and the Jewish. So I'm gonna have my brother read this, some research from Calendar. And it's titled, Jewish People Admit. The Jewish people admit true calendar was set aside. You will see this in your PDF that you have, that I was sent to you. You should be able to hit this link, load it up on your computer, and read along with it. We're just gonna read a little bit. As you see, it's a lot to read. I'm gonna have my brother read just a few lines so you can see what the Jewish people has already admitted to before we even got into scriptures. So just read a few lines out, and I'll cut you off or go along with you.
Assumptions are dangerous, particularly when they are made in the realm of religion. If a theological belief is based on a faulty assumption, the religious practice will be in error. A common assumption made by Sabbatarians is that Saturday must be the Bible Sabbath because it is day kept by the Jews. The reasoning goes, the Jews would never worship on any day except the true Sabbath. Therefore, Saturday must be the true Sabbath because that is when the Jews worship. A sterling example of circular reasoning. It is true that the Jews have never lost track of the true Sabbath. However, by their own admission, the
by
Jews,
their what?
Their own admission.
By their who?
Their own admission.
So this is the Jews admitting it that they self, when they prepared these documents. This is coming from the Jewish that's in Israel admitting what they're admitting.
The Jews deliberately and knowingly changed their calendar by which the true Sabbath was calculated.
Okay, keep going.
During the 4th century CE, persecution of all who used the biblical calendar for worship was so intense that in the end, the Jews gave up their calendar handed down from the creation through Moses and adopted a calendar adjusted for worship on the Julian calendar.
I want to stop it right there. They just admitted, I don't know if everybody let that guy past them or not, but I'm going to definitely bring it back. The Jewish people just admitted that they're not even using the calendar that was given by Moses. Now, again, we know these are the Jewish people that's in Israel, that's claiming to be Jews. And they are telling you, they're not even using the calendar that was given by Moses, but they adopted the calendar of the Julian calendar, which that's what they're using their Sabbaths off. Immediately admitted by them. So there's a lot more information to read. That is about 8 pages, if I see from the PDF that you can get about that omittance of the Jewish calendar. Take it upon yourself, read that information, find out what they omitted. I'm going to stop it right there because it was enough to me that they admitted that they're not using Moses' calendar and that they're using Julian calendar to keep their Sabbaths. So from that point, I think we need to find out who is the Julian calendar and why they're using the Julian calendar. Because if we Israelites, we come from the bloodline of Moses. So therefore, we need to be using Moses. So what I'm going to do is we're going to scroll on down and get into the next link that was posted on the PDF that speaks of the Jewish calendar. And this is even before we even get into scriptures. Can you read that for me, brother?
Yeah. The Jewish calendar is based on 3 astronomical phenomena: the rotation of the earth about its axis, the revolution on the moon about the earth, and the revolution of the earth about the sun. These 3 phenomena are independent of each other, so there is no direct correlation between them. On the average, the moon revolves around the earth in about 29 and a half days. The earth revolves around the sun in about 365 and a half days. That is about 12 and 4 lunar months.
As you see, from the background and history of the Jewish calendar, they're reflecting a lunar cycle, months. They're telling you in their own research that the revolution of the revolution of the earth will revolve around the moon, never referring to a Saturday. Not that I want to get into that just yet, but never referring to Saturday. They're referring to keeping time in the earth axis around the sun and the moon. And this is directly from the Jewish people that's in our land today. So I just wanted to bring that out. It ain't proved nothing. I just want you to hear their own admittance from their own research and their own information. Again, there's much to read. So much we got to cover in this teaching. Take it upon yourself to read it. The link is there. You can read it as it speaks of the lunar cycles that revolves around the sun and the moon. So with that being said, we're going to move on and we're going to get into the origins of calendars. Because we must first understand the changes that Esau made when he came into power. And what was the name of his empire. So with that being said, let's go ahead and touch on some scriptures and get into the first part of the direct teaching. Get to y'all books, St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 20 through 24. Verse 20 to 24. Okay, you there?
You got it out. Just let me know when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 20. And when ye shall Jerusalem compass with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon these people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So what we just covered there was the persecution of Jerusalem. Okay, that's when the Messiah was here. He was